Hey, what's up, everyone? Morey Croson here, and today we're going to be breaking down the 200-meter final, and we'll start the video right now. All right, we have Noah Lyles here, just winning the 200-meter. Just happened a few minutes ago, going through the breakdown, trying to get this up as soon as we can, so then you guys can see it. We'll go ahead and kind of go through a little bit of how the whole thing went, so we could see the initial kind of start, what they did. So that was the start. Everybody got off to a pretty solid start, I would say there. And I have to kind of change the speed here, and I'm going to get copyright infringement. So I'm going to go to the turn. You can see at the turn, everybody's in a pretty equal place, right? And I would have liked to see Arian Knighton come out a little bit better. That was kind of his big thing in order to beat Noah Lyles. I don't know if what his strategy was necessarily, because to me, him coming out better would have gave him a little bit more of a lead. We've seen a lot of times that he's gotten past at the end. So I don't know if he's been really focusing on trying to come back at the end. I would say his strategy should have been to get a bigger lead from the curve. It seems like he wasn't really trying to get out, because like when he went in like the semis and in the heat, every single time he was way out in front in the curve. And then all of a sudden here, he almost seems like he stayed even to try to be able to beat Noah Lyles at the last straightaway, but now you're playing Noah Lyles' game, right? So I don't think that was a great strategy. I think he should have tried to get out in front best that he can. But now we start to see Noah Lyles open up, right? This is what Noah Lyles does that is best trait, right? He just can open up better than anybody else. I mean, obviously, if Fred Curley would have ran the 200, it would have been interesting to see what that would have looked like. I think Fred Curley is kind of proved himself to be really the only person that can keep up with Noah Lyles at that top speed. I love how he has such an effective drive phase. He gets the knees up. He has great timing with the arms, with the legs. We could see how he does that, where he gets the knees up, gets the foot right underneath the hip. That's really important. You guys got to understand that as you're building speed, we got to get to these positions in order to really get into a place that's going to help you and really accelerating, getting to that top speed, and really being able to maintain that top speed at a high level. So I think he did a great job of doing that right there. I think it's something that we want to be able to learn ourselves, right? Teach ourselves. And we can see the arm difference here with Noah Lyles. See how much active arm action he has in comparison to Bednarik. Bednarik is a lot tighter in the upper body. Obviously, I mean, we're comparing guys that are amongst the best in the world. So I'm not saying that what Bednarik is doing is wrong, right? Because there's a lot of range of motion that we're seeing there, especially on the right side. And we also know that Bednarik he's in the 200-meter final in the World Championships. He's amongst the best in the world. He's not wrong. Let's look at the difference with how much range he's getting in comparison to Noah Lyles, who gets a lot of extension there, and what ends up being the result, right? I mean, we're just looking objectively at the different results, and how much more and better job Noah Lyles does is really being able to open up. I was kind of disappointed in Zharnel Hughes too. I thought that Zharnel Hughes would be able to have a little bit better top speed, especially looking at him in the 100, kind of 200-meter. Even in the semifinal, he did a good job of catching Arian Knighton, and now here really didn't catch Arian Knighton at all. Tebogo obviously did really, really well. Arian Knighton and Tebogo are going to be two guys that are going to be competing at the highest level for a long period of time in the years to come. I just think that I mean, I know he you could tell he's a little bit disappointed with his performance. He got a 1952, I want to say. It might have been 51 official number, what that ends up being. But he did such a great job, like always, of just being able to really open up his stride really well. That's just why he's the best, right? That's what, and that's what he just cemented, is that he's right now, there's no one better than Noah Lyles, right? He won the 100, he's the 100-meter world champ, the 200-meter world champ. There's just not very many people that do that. It's kind of like a once in a generation, right? Like every, 10, maybe 15 years, we see somebody that is that dominant in track and field. And right now, Noah Lyles is just that guy, right? We could see all the extension. Look how good of a job he does of extending that leg and then pulling back. And what we want to be able to do is, this is something that comes over a period of time, right? So you're not going to be able to just get into this extension and then pull. So if you're prioritizing getting into the same range of motion that Noah Lyles, the greatest sprinter in the world, does right now, then I think you're missing the boat in terms of development, right? This is somebody that has been practicing for years and has been at the top of the world for years, right? I mean, he's been running with very similar mechanics, but he built the mechanics from the ground up. This takes time to be able to develop the range of motion and the strength in order to actually achieve the ranges that he's achieving and get to the place that he's getting. So if you're training right now, trying to get faster, I would say what you really want to be able to do is understand this horizontal force production and how he does a really good job of pulling that foot down and getting a lot of height and landing on the front part of the foot, right? And being very effective at getting right back off of the ground. He doesn't spend a lot of time with the foot on the ground. If you end up getting stuck with your foot on the ground, then that's going to slow you down, right? Having too slow foot contact time, I would say, is the biggest thing that I see that makes people not as fast, right? The next thing that I see that ends up making people that not as fast is not being effective with their foot coming off the ground, or they get stuck with their foot too far back behind. He does a great job of getting great extension in the hips, but has such a fast knee bend that now he can get that knee all the way up and through. And that's what I would say with a lot of guys that end up with their foot too far back behind, stuck with their foot too far back behind. You really want to be able to improve that knee bend. Get better at being able to bend that knee and come right through to be able to reach all the way back out in front and getting plenty of range in that position. Okay. And then the next thing that I would say is the landing, right? If we're landing too far back in our foot, yeah, when you get to top speed, you're going to be landing further back than when you're building speed. For most people, there's some people that are going to be kind of similar in when they're building speed and when they're at their top end speed. Start with more of their weight on the front part of their foot, and then they transition a little bit further back. So when you get to your top speed, you're like on the ball of your foot, maybe slightly behind the ball of your foot, but you're still very close to the ball of your foot as you're transitioning off the ground. And that's very, very important. Again, when it comes to getting to your top speed, you have to be able to land very close to the front part of your foot. If you're landing too far towards the arch of your foot or middle of your foot, then it's going to end up costing you when it comes to your top speed. And all you need to do is just not have the ability to generate a large amount of force into the ground, or landing in the wrong position, or not able to properly transition off the ground effectively, right? Spending too much time on the ground. All you have to do is be able to do those little tiny things for a lot of steps, right? Running 100, running a 60-yard dash, running a 40-yard dash, and now you're just not going to be able to reach your full potential. So really understand when you're watching these, this isn't necessarily, I mean, we obviously want to look at Noah Lyles and say, wow, this is some of the great things that he's doing and he does an effective job, but that's the gold standard. If you're somebody that is in high school right now, you're not going to be running like a gold medal world champion in both the 100 and the 200. Okay. But what small things can we do to get us a little bit better and a little bit closer to make it so we can maybe 10 years down the road be a lot faster or a lot closer to what he is, especially if you plan on doing this for a long period of time. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense to you. If you like the information, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations, you can leave those down below. I'm going to also release the women's as well. I just am limited on time here, but I'm going to get right to that and try to get that up by tonight. If not, then, tomorrow morning at the latest. But definitely want to get this up. Noah Lyles, I think, deserves to have the priority here because he just accomplished what we haven't seen for a while, and is obviously the best in the world from a men's perspective. We know Shericka Jackson won the 200 meter, but she didn't win the 100 meter. So, and she hasn't been able to go back to back yet. And so we'll see how that ends up going, or how that ends up shaking out here in the future. But again, subscribe, check out the offers that we have on our website, the Speed Program. We have a lot of things actually available on our website to be able to help you out. Private training, Speed Program, Faster 40, all those things will help you. And really the big focus is going to be on mechanics, right? It'll help you in understanding how to run faster, how to get better mechanics, which is the key to being able to run faster.